And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Now, this title is not clickbait. This is what I actually feel. Pokemon Investing. It's where a day feels like a year and a year feels like a day. And what I mean by that is when you get into the nuances of this hobby and you get into the ultra semantics, which is the day, it feels like time is more or less just move it in slow motion. But when you pull yourself out and you look at the bigger picture and you start to look back on things, you're like, that doesn't seem like too too long ago. But at times it can be a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. When you start to look back on stuff, it's like it feels so recent. But when you're living in the moment, everything just seems to drag on. And one of the reasons I wanted to make this video is because not too recently, I made a video saying I thought that the most money was going to be either made or lost in the next 6 months. I released that video towards the end of August. At the time of recording this video, we're only at the end of November. So really it's just been, a little bit of August, September, October, and then all of November. So we're like halfway there through that 6 month that I said. And within this 3 months, I'm already seeing things play out. Things that I wasn't even planning on playing out, even though I gave those hypothetical scenarios. So what I mean by that is the most money could be made or lost. And you look at what's happened in the last 3 months. A lot of products stagnant. Other products went super crazy, or maybe products that are stagnant, we're seeing some really good buying opportunities. And we're going to talk about some of the Black Friday deals going on right now. I know some people are doing the TikTok stuff. TikTok stuff is probably something I should look into. But as of recording this video, today, Rare Candy had Silver Tempest booster boxes for $80 a piece. You can't get them anymore. They're all sold out. But it had a limit of 6. And I'll probably say that again just because of how ridiculous that is, being where we are at the end of November 2023. But, yeah, it's just crazy when you think about, all the... So, first of all, you have those booster boxes that were on Rare Candy. Silver Tempest, $80 today. You can't get them anymore, sold out. But then when you think about, promos that went absolutely crazy... Think about Pikachu in a gray felt hat. At the time of recording my video at the end of August, I didn't even know that the gray felt hat Pikachu was something that was going to be released. I didn't know. But in that video, I talked about, there will probably be some promos that are released that go crazy. And in the very, very short window of the last 3 months, you think about, first the market plays that went crazy, and then a lot of products that's just staying stagnant, cards that are staying stagnant. A lot of these Sun and Moon alt-arts are on a downtrend. So there's nowheres where you could really point at the market and be like, this one area is performing really well. I'll give you an example. A lot of people said the first to market play is over with, meaning you can't do the first to market play anymore. All that optimization in the market has dried up. Within this week, we saw a Roaring Moon alt-art sell for greater than $700. It sold closer to $800. Shout out to PokeKid 96. PokeKid 96 was the one that sold that card. First to market, rush at the grade, sold that. And again, that is a alt-art card from Paradox Riff. Yes, literally the newest, most current set with, that is currently on the market. He was first to grade the big hit of that set, and he sold it in a PSA 10 for close to $800, $796. This is today. But then you look at what is Paradox Rift, what is the booster boxes doing? And those are more or less trending downwards. Right now you could probably go on eBay and pick them up at $95 all day, and that's not even shopping around. That's just closing your eyes blind and just, sorting eBay listings. And if you really want to, spend a little time searching the good buys, you can find Paradox Rift for less than $95. Same thing with any of these sets. Same thing. And, we're, living in a moment where I told you there was a lot of money was going to be made or lost in the next 6 months. Well, we're only 3 months into that. But right now, with all these Black Friday deals, these are some of the best Black Friday deals I have ever seen. Ever. And, one of the things, if you guys watch SM Pratt, he always talks about when there was these Blastoids tins that went all the way down to $8.97. People still talk about those tins to this day. Well, guess what? There was a lot of products recently that you can pick up, like very comparable to that, with the only exception it's not going to be like XY packs in it. It's going to be modern stuff, but we're living in that moment again where right now there's just so many good opportunities. And, if you believe in the longevity of Pokemon and you believe in the long run of Pokemon, and if you are, like overly bullish, like if you're not buying right now today, I don't know when do you buy? Unless you think that the downturn is going to be even stronger and is going to pull stuff harder, but like, you know, thinking recently, like today, we've had Silver Tempest booster boxes again on Rare Candy for $80 a piece. We had, you could get like a lot of Pokemon Go packs if you shop around between $2 to $2.25. People are selling those packs that you could pick up ETBs for like sub $30. I mean, Pokemon Go packs, you could really get them cheap, especially if you go the bulk route. I know a lot of people were able to get the bulk supplies from distribution. I want to say that the bulk boxes, don't quote me on this, it's not a hill I'm willing to die on. I believe it was 725 packs you can get from the distributor, just like literally a big cardboard box. And I want to say that that was a number. Somebody could correct me down below what the actual number was, but you could pick up like Pokemon Go packs in the hundreds. And if you believe in Pokemon Go, like now's the time, because it is still a specialty set. You look at what Shining Fates is doing right now. Shining Fates probably not going to get any more reprints. Shining Fates all-time lows. All this Sun and Moon stuff, I don't see any, or sorry, not Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield stuff. All these Sword and Shield products, I don't see Sword and Shield really being reprinted. I think Pokemon is very, very hyper-focused on Scarlet and Violet going forwards. So, especially with like, Paldean Fates coming out pretty soon. That's going to be a super in-demand set. There's a lot of demand still for 151. I know maybe the UPCs aren't doing fantastic. I think that's just an oversupply issue. And when I say oversupply issue, you look at the promos in that, and you look at what those promos were able to like hit bottoms of. I mean, when you're talking one of the promos, the Mewtwo selling between $1 and $2, per promo sealed. That's a pretty low price, or even like the Mew alt art, which is a beautiful alt art Mew. You look at what that card's selling for in Japanese, but because it's so readily available for, the 151 UPCs, it's selling for sub $8. If you shop around, you can pick it up between $5 and $6. Like, you got a lot of products aren't doing good, but then 151 as a whole, 151 still for the actual packs. Huge demand, especially you look at things like Booster Bundle. When Booster Bundle really is when you break it down the rawest form to get packs, the cheapest way you're going to get packs. Booster Bundles, huge demand. A lot of singles for modern sets right now, going really, really strong. I mean, 151 singles saw an uptick. Paradox Rift singles saw an uptick. A lot of the playability stuff is seeing upticks. There's a lot of playability stuff right now. I'm telling you guys, if you're sitting on some bulk cards that you didn't think were going to be expensive. I think, shout out to Rattle Pokemon the other day, he made a community post talking about like the Entei V. The Entei V is selling for like $12 to $14 for just like a random V. A lot of these playable cards doing really good right now, means the playable market is super strong. So there's areas of the market that are so strong. Like, and especially when you think about anything that is relatively limited, relatively scarce, going crazy right now. I mentioned the Pikachu and Gray Felt Hat promo. That's an obvious one. But you look at like the GameStop Umbreons, what those were selling at in a 10. When you look at the Best Buy Espeons, what were those selling at in a 10? You look at another Pokemon Center relatively exclusive promo, that Squirtle promo that was only available when you pre-ordered 151 UPCs. That Squirtle Pokemon Center promo going crazy right now. Again, free promo. All these are free promos, but because there's just that very, very tad, like, scarcity to them, just sprinkle a little bit of scarcity, makes everything go crazy. It's just right now we are living in the time where there is just a huge oversupply of a lot of this stuff. And to be honest with you, when it comes to oversupply of Pokemon, the only way you're going to make it through the time of oversupply is you just got to be patient. Like, it's going to take time for a lot of this stuff to be eaten up. You can go on your TCG Player, you can go on your eBays, you can look at some of the sales for some of these items, and when you look at the sales of some of these booster boxes, and they're sub, call it 18, like booster boxes, or sub 20 ETBs for like a given day or a given week. It's like, okay, well, 18 booster boxes, that's 3 cases. That means there's only like 3 cases moving a day. Or ETBs for some of these sets, you only got 20 ETBs moving in a week, and you're like, 20 ETBs, that's only 2 cases worth of ETBs moving. So there's a lot of stuff that is just stagnant right now, and I think there's a lot of people that are just, in a way, panic selling some of this product. But then a lot of this product, I feel that the fear for a lot of this is there's so much of this product that people are sitting on and saying, well, I'm not going to sell this booster box at a loss. I'm not going to sell this ETB at a loss or break even. I'm just going to sit on a lot of this stuff and wait for price points to be more attractive to sell these. And when those days happen, then, you'll see like multiple supplies. Like, but that's just Pokemon, right? That's Pokemon investing, especially that's investing in a time of oversupply. But we'll see. We'll see how all this stuff plays out, There's opportunities right now in the market that are just glaringly obvious opportunity. Then there's areas of the hobby that have really seen like relatively strong slowdowns. The days of you could grade anything, get a 10, send it to market, doesn't matter what it is, you could close your eyes, send it to market, and you're going to get close to market value, or you're going to get sometimes a premium. Like, even those days for some graded cards is drying up, with the exception of that ultra modern stuff. Ultra modern stuff is proving to be the strongest thing that you could ever have in the moment. The second another set comes out, a second that more supply hits the market, those singles go down so quickly when it comes to the graded supply of the stuff. And that's nothing new. I mean, sadly, I wish I could sit here and be like, one day the market is going to understand first to market 10s, hold the premium until eventually that graded supply gets more and more and more, and then it knocks down these prices till eventually, given enough time, you will eventually find the bottom. And I don't know where that bottom is going to be for every card, but when you get to that bottom, then you could actually start to look at some of these cards and go, okay, well, some of these cards I think have now hit the bottom. Let me start acquiring some of these cards. And a perfect example of that, shout out to Top 10 Pokemon. If you hadn't had a chance to watch Top 10 Pokemon's most recent video, go back and watch it. It's a fantastic video. What he does is he takes the top 10 most expensive modern Charizards and compares them to their all-time highs versus what they're selling at today. Not to give away too much of the video, but like, there's all the ones you expect. Evolution's Charizard, Celebration's Charizard, Champion's Path Charizard V, the promo, both Champion's Path Charizards, the Shine and Fates Charizard. Guess what? Every single one of those Charizards, their all-time high is nowhere even close to their all-time lows and prices that these things are currently selling at. Some of on like the highest end, some of these cards saw 96% losses. Most of them saw between 90 and 95% losses. And that is on graded 10s. And why? Because of what I said a little bit ago. Those first to 10s carry crazy premiums. I don't know why. I don't know. Listen, I don't know why. I don't know who that person is who buys these 10s, but that's just the fact of the matter. It's the same thing with even something as recent as Pikachu in a gray felt hat. No question if there was going to be a lot of those. We saw that huge drop that happened at the Van Gogh Museum. Then Pokemon put out that press release saying that Pokemon Center US, Canada, and UK were all getting these promos. They all hit the market. They sold out instantly when everything on the PokemonCenter.com for the Van Gogh items sold out. Didn't change the fact that a lot of those went out, but then after the fact, Pokemon put out another press release and said, listen, we screwed up. You will get at least another opportunity to get these cards, and they did. A lot of people got more opportunities to get those cards, but doesn't change the fact that the first 10 still sold for $1,300, which now you look at what that PSA 10 is selling for, and we're talking within the period of time of less than a month. Like, prices have dropped on that. But that was never a question of will that drop. It was just like, it's not a question of will. It's just a question of like when and how fast. And we saw how fast it was. It was instantly that thing dropped. Now, that promo is still relatively scarce, relatively being the key word to that, but because it still had a sort of limited release to it, it wasn't available overseas. There's a strong buyer pool right now for those cards in Japan, helping the market. The Chinese market's helping those promos. You know, especially in Raw, we're starting to see that Pikachu and a gray felt hat promo tick up. But in the graded copies, in the tens, it's probably going to take a very, 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 very long time till we ever see those cards get back to their all-time high. So whoever that person was that bought that first 10, it's always questionable to me, especially even at that time when that promo was selling for $75 to $100, because you always get this weird imbalance in cards. Whenever the 10 is at the most expensive, the raw card is usually at its cheapest, because that raw card's going to be at its cheapest usually during that initial wave of supply when the sheer raw quantity of that card is at its highest. But then you have that inverse where the PSA 10 is at its most expensive, and then eventually, given enough time, you'll find where that PSA 10 keeps dropping, but that raw card, when supply starts to dry up for the raw price starts to tick up more and more and more, and that PSA 10 price starts to tick lower and lower and lower until eventually there are literally some cards out there on the market where the PSA 10 price is almost as comparable as the raw price. And that is real stuff. I sold some cards recently at the most recent Z&G Emporium, a couple 10s that sold for damn near close to like raw prices on some of these cards. So you'll see like there's weird inverses that happen in this market, but that goes back to just understanding the market, like timing the market, playing the market. A lot of stuff is playing out the way we expect. Some stuff is kind of playing out differently. Like I mentioned, those 151 singles, some of these Paradox Rift singles are going strong, but then all the sealed product is still selling at relative lows. You know, there was a time where, especially for 151, you started to look at like, you know, the actual expected value in that, and you're getting pretty close to MSRP, and you don't really expect that to happen, especially at a modern product that has been out for a month or two. But you look at 151 and you're like, there's a decent EV in this product. Now, the caveat being 151 pull rates are so hit or miss. Like, there's two ends of that 151 spectrum. The one end of 151 is you open it up, everything seems to be a banger. You get these apps, I wouldn't call them God boxes, but you get strong boxes. And then on the other end of that 151 spectrum, it is just absolute agony, misery, getting absolutely torched when you open up some of this 151 product. I don't know if there's like crazy batching issues going on with Pokemon 151, but I've seen some people super lucky. Other people just get destroyed. And that usually leads to batching issues, but I don't really know like either. But so yeah, I just wanted to talk just like Pokemon investing, but like that's the thing. It's where, and it goes back to the title of this video, where a day feels like a year. Because when you get wrapped up in the nuances and you get wrapped up in the day-to-day and you're watching the charts and you're watching the most recent eBay sales and all this stuff, and some of the stuff you're making money on, some of the stuff you're losing money on, but then when you look back on a year, or you look back on all of 2022, all of 2021, all of 2020, you know, there was no time in this entire hobby that was more crazy than end of 2020, early 2021. That was the most hectic, wild roller coaster. Strap yourself in. You got a rocket strapped to your back like Wile E. Coyote from Looney Tunes, and you're going straight to the wall, and you don't care. You light that fuse, and you're trying to catch that Roadrunner. You're never going to catch that Roadrunner, but you didn't care. You got your Acme rocket to your back, and you're going supersonic speeds right at a wall. That was 2020, 2021, and when you were living in the day-to-day, it just felt like everything was happening. News was hitting you left and right. Things were happening. Seals were happening. Like, you know, people were entering the hobby. People were leaving the hobby, and it was just every day felt like a year. But then, now, today, you look back on 2020, 2021, it just feels like it went by almost like that. Like, boom. It was an instant. It almost feels like, in a way now, looking back on it, is like a breeze on a warm summer day, like just rushing past you, like, and then once that warm breeze is done, it's just like, oh, okay, that was nice, on to the next thing. And it's wild when you think about that. So I think it's that important aspect too of just this hobby is keeping perspective, like understanding you're living in in the moment now, but in the future, a lot of the things are just going to feel like a warm summer breeze kind of just running over you. But that doesn't change the fact that when you see these good opportunities, like, take advantage of it. Because I'm going to tell you a quote that is going to probably end up being a quote going forwards. Pokemon got us into this mess, and Pokemon will get us out of this mess. And I mean that. Think about it. I'm going to say it again for you. Pokemon got us into this mess, and Pokemon will get us out of this mess. Meaning, whatever mess Pokemon has got you into, it could be rough, whether you did the bad buy, bad sell, poor grade, whatever. Eventually, given enough time in this hobby, enough effort, enough willpower, enough determination, eventually Pokemon will also bail you out of whatever issue you got into. Now, maybe that's not 100% across the board for everybody, but I think for a lot of people in this chat, given enough time, all the problems that Pokemon got you into, eventually Pokemon will also get you out of it. And that's just the way it goes too, we're, especially if you're doing modern graded plays right now, especially if you're doing English modern, or even if you're doing Japanese modern. I've heard anecdotally from a lot of people that are super active in the Japanese graded plays. They're getting destroyed right now on their Japanese plays because for one of the very first times in a long time, Japanese print quality is pretty dog shit. And obviously, English print quality is hit or miss. I think a lot of people were really hoping Pokemon would be able to figure out whatever they needed to do to get print quality back up, to get it back to all the chase cards from Celebrations, fantastic print quality. Some of the Japanese stuff, like promos though, fantastic print quality. You think of all the Unigaba Eevees and stuff, and the Unigaba Pikachus. You look at those print qualities, they're fantastic. But then you look at some of the most recent print quality for Japanese 151, it's not all sunshines and rainbows. There's a couple rough products, and then especially the Japanese versions of Obsidian Flames and Paradox Rift and Paldea Evolved and stuff. A lot of these sets for the Japanese versions were struggling. Now, English, we're back to the days of Burning Shadows. You want to talk about rough print quality days, we are back to Burning Shadows, where I don't know what Pokemon's doing. How can we live in 2023 with the amount of technology that exists? And you look at okay, all these printers today are all more, they're not ran by humans anymore. We're not living back in the days of the 1500s and somebody is printing the Gutenberg Bible on some hand-pressed print machine and they're rolling out a page at a time. We're way past those days. And you know what the sad thing is? We're way past the days of Wizard of the Coast in 93 making Magic the Gathering, or Wizard of the Coast in 99 making Pokemon, or Media Factory in 1996, 1997, 1998, Media Factory making cards in Japan. We're way past those days. But the problem is those print qualities for some of those cards are as good, if not better, than stuff we're seeing today with these modern printers, which all these modern printers should have laser alignments, crazy PDF files uploaded, all these checks and balances, all these cutting edge, top of the line printing press materials, cutters, you name it. 2023 print quality should be so disgustingly better than 99. We should be looking back on some of some of these WotC sets, especially when you look at the later WotC sets when Wizard of the Coast really figured it out for printing, especially when you look at your e-reader sets. Expedition, Aquapolis, Skyridge. When you look at a set like Skyridge and you go fresh out of pack, what are card qualities on Skyridge cards? Perfect. Beautiful edges, beautiful cornering, centering is damn near perfect on a lot of these late e-reader sets. Card stock, heavy duty card stock. And that was at the end when Wizard of the Coast figured it all out. But now here we are today, and you're they've had plenty of time. And then Pokemon even went in and they bought the print facility. They went in, they said, all right, Millennium Print Group, you are now under the Pokemon umbrella. You would think, okay, Pokemon figured out what's going on. Millennium Print Group and these, third-party printers are fucking up. They can't get the condition good. Well, Pokemon's going to figure it out, and we haven't seen that yet. We haven't. I mean, as recently as 151, I got a lot of 151 product that I ended up not opening because I opened up like one UPC, open on the Rattle Happy Hour chat. Dog shit, print quality. Even like the Classic Collection, Pokemon Classic Collection, should be relatively limited print run. Like, limited subjective to, we're obviously still talking 2023 overprinting of Pokemon, but the Classic Collection is still going to be relatively limited in comparison to any main expansion set. There's going to be drastically less of those cards, but you go, okay, this is an English $399 MSRP product, super high end. Maybe Pokemon will figure out, like, maybe we'll spend a little extra time cutting these cards, make sure all the print quality for these cards are good, and they're not. They're as the same print quality, pretty much the equivalent of like any normal beat up expansion set. It's like, what's going on? What has gone with print quality? It's wild. But so anyways, that's my rant. Usually my rants last 25 minutes. We are 25 minutes in now. I'm going to go read the chat. If any of you guys have any comments, any questions you want to ask them now, because by the time I scroll down, make it to the bottom of the chat, probably see your question, be able to answer that. And then, yep. So as always, got number one mod in the game. I don't know how he does it, but Drew always manages to get the first comment. Drew, appreciate you. Namp90, appreciate you. Namp has a fantastic Instagram page. We need to get a number one mod in the game, Drew, to get his Instagram game, step it up. Science Guy 87, good to see you. Christoph, TCG Trainer Galore, Lumil. Punch Jump Kick says average PSA bulk submission return time. So I could tell you my most recent PSA bulk submission, because it's currently in the mail to me today, or like going to be delivered this week. So I have a TCG bulk order, was shipped on November 20th and it arrived on August 22nd. So September, October, November, 3-month turnaround time on bulk. Now, I have right now one bulk that was arrived, and then 1, 2, 3 value pluses that arrived, 3 different value pluses. They all got like entered into the system instantly. Now, that TCG bulk that I sent was in the same package as a value plus, so I don't know if that's like helping these get scanned through a little bit faster, but the value plus, I've heard right now the turnaround time is right around like 10 business days. So they're advertised for 20 business days, but I've heard some people get in like 2-week turnaround times on some of those. Now, I'm not holding my breath because in the States right now, we're coming into like a holiday week. So on Thursday is Thanksgiving, and then Friday is like the Friday after Thanksgiving. So a lot of companies are closed. I'm going to guess PSA is going to be shut down Thursday, Friday. So probably there's going to cause a little backlog just because of like Thanksgiving. And again, Thanksgiving's an American holiday, because I know we have a lot of listeners from overseas. Which, real quick, talking about where a day feels like a year and a year feels like a day. This channel, I just got to say real quick to everybody out there, thank you so much. I'm not one to really look at analytics of my channel. Like, while it is important to me, it's not. I used to look at it a lot, especially when the channel was new, but as of recently, like within the last year, I kind of stopped looking at the analyticals, and I kind of just want to start really focusing on making the videos I want to make. But I did look at them recently. Over 1 million views I've hit on this channel, close to 300,000 watch hours. So I gotta say thank you to you guys for helping me hit 1 million views, and 300,000 watch hours is preposterous. Like, when you divide 300,000 by 24 hours in a day, and then you figure out how many years worth of time people have watched this channel, I gotta say thank you guys. 300,000 hours is a lot of time that you guys have somehow watched this channel, so I gotta say thank you to you, and help me hit 1 million views. That's wild. I never would have thought that this channel could ever even get close to that. I always tell the story. It took me 5 videos, before I got my very first subscriber. I literally put out 5 videos, which means the first 4 videos that I released on this channel, I had a whopping 0 subscribers. And it took me till video number 5 to get 1. And between those 5 videos, they combined for a total of 40 views. So it really puts this channel into perspective. The fact that I just hit 1 million plus views. I think it's like 1,080,000 or something views. But the fact that it took me 5 videos and I only had 40 views with 1 subscriber, it feels really good. So none of that's possible without you guys. And if you guys are watching this channel and you're still not subscribed, like, hit the subscribe button. If you want to like show appreciation, if you want to just show support for this channel, all you got to do is hit the like button, and the like button goes a long way. So yeah, I did want to say that because I did see it the other day, and I know I took like a couple minutes out, but it is important to once in a while say thank you. Let's see. Let's see. So I did a Secret Santa, and I'm expecting to get my Secret Santa gift from somebody pretty soon. I already sent out my Secret Santa gift, and I can't wait for that person to open theirs. I'm sorry, that was a little... I don't want to like give away whose is it. I'm sorry if that was a little cryptic. I just read it because I was reading somebody talking about a Secret Santa in the chat. So Saul said, "Did you end up buying the Chinese anniversary box? I believe I saw a store selling them for $350. I have not bought any of the Chinese first anniversary boxes yet. I did have a couple. I want to pick up a couple at auction. I had a bunch that I was watching. They were all, getting ready to end, and I just ended up getting busy. Never went on my eBay. I never like put any bids on any of them. But I do still plan to pick up some of those Chinese anniversary boxes. I just haven't yet, but I do want to." Tom B said, "Sup everybody? Hope you're all gearing up for Black Friday. It's going to be nuts." Yeah, if you guys have the liquidity right now and you've been saving up, like, you're gonna have your opportunities for Friday for some stuff. Fat Belly Collect says, "Question: do you think because some of these sets like Silver Tempest, Lost Origin, Astral Darkness Ablaze, and these Scarlet Violet sets are going to be dumb cheap? Do you think it will take 2-year plus to even move? To even move for what? I mean, like I said earlier today, Rare Candy had Silver Tempest boxes on their site for $80. So they were technically on the site for $100, but for new... I should throw in this caveat because it is an important one. They're $100 a booster box, but if you were a new member, you could get 20% off, which made them $80. So that is a huge caveat to those Rare Candy. But the caveat being, if you wanted them, you would have to create a new account and then just send them to your mom's house or send them to your sister's house or to your best friend's house. So sure, you got to be a new account, but there's a lot of ways of working around, being a new member on a site. So, but yeah, will it take 2 years for some of this stuff to move? I think some of this stuff will take, 2 years, but then there's going to be other sets that are going to have breakout performances. There are sets that you just mentioned that I think are going to be like breakout performers. Silver Tempest, Lost Origin, I think those are like 2 strong contenders. In 2 years, can Lost Origin be a $200 booster box? Yeah, of course it can. Can Silver Tempest be like a $175, $200 booster box? Yeah, of course it can. These other sets like Darkness Ablaze, it kind of goes against the thinking, because you would think that Darkness Ablaze, being an older set, would probably perform better than, like a Silver Tempest or Lost Origin. But I just think there's too much Darkness Ablaze that exists on the market. Like, Darkness Ablaze will still perform well, but when you start to look at the singles, and I know a lot of people don't like to do this, where you like to start to say, well, what's a sealed product worth? What are your hits worth? Darkness Ablaze, out of all the sets of Sword and Shield, when you look at what is the biggest chase card of Darkness Ablaze, it is the VMAX Charizard. Shout out again the top 10 Pokemon. The most recent seal of that PSA 10 VMAX Charizard from Darkness Ablaze, the most recent PSA 10 sale was $42. So that means in a perfect world, you pull that Charizard VMAX from Darkness Ablaze, you send it away, you grade it a 10, it is worth $42. That card will still, even at bulk, cost you $15 to grade. So, but then when you look at these other sets like Silver Tempest, Lost Origin, you say, well, what does Silver Tempest at least have? It still has character rares, still has a lot of hits, it still has that Lugia V. When you look at something like Lost Origin, you say, well, what does Lost Origin have going for it? Still awesome character rares. Shout out to the Sleepy Pikachu. But then you look at your big chases, that Garantina V alt art is probably going to wind up being the second most expensive card of all, or probably, no, not second, like third most expensive card of all in Sword and Shield. Like, your number one and number two most expensive card for Sword and Shield, when all the dust settles, will be the Moonbreon and the Rayquaza from Evolving Skies. But, like, probably after that, I'm going to guess, will be the Garantina V. And then it's like, okay, well, if you don't pull the Garantina, do you have another option to pull something? You still got a chance to pull that Aerodactyl. That Aerodactyl's still holding strong. So just Silver Tempest and Lost Origin, just so much stronger sets than... Now, as for Astral Radiance, still a solid set. These Scarlet and Violet sets, like, if you can get in at, like, the floor prices for some of this Scarlet and Violet stuff, like, if you really shop around and you get super lucky and you're able to pick up, like, you know, your TikTok $70 booster boxes, like, you're probably going to do pretty well. The problem is with some of this Scarlet and Violet stuff that it might stay stagnant, and stagnant could be sub 140. So you're going to hate, well, I can pick it up at 70, 140, that's double my money. It's hard to find, you know, these booster boxes at 70. It's a lot easier to find them at 80. Super easy to find them at 85, and then anybody could pick them up at 90, with the exception of, like, Paradox Rift. But, like, Scarlet and Violet base, Paldea Evolved, all those cards. Obsidian Flames, not so much, but, like, you could find these cheap, especially on TikTok. So, you know, when you factor in shipping and fees, and you factor in, like, just opportunity costs, I think that's going to be your biggest factor for some of these sets. Opportunity cost. Like I said, there's the most money will be made or lost in the next 6 months, and we are only 3 months into that saying. I think there will be products that continue to stay stagnant in that next 3-month timeline. I think there's going to be products that stay stagnant for the next 2 years. But the beautiful thing about these products is when that market shift happens, if you are in it the day-to-day, back to the title of this video, where a day feels like a year, if you're living in the day-to-day, where everything kind of moves in slow motion, and you're super in tune with the market, you'll see the shift. What you'll see when, like, okay, Scarlet and Violet, when that shift happens and those stop being $80, $85 booster boxes and the market changes them and starts to value them, and you start to see that change happen, that will be your opportunity to potentially buy in. And if you're really staying in tune with the market, you will be able to see it. And in a way, you almost feel it. Like, you could feel when the market's shifting for a product like that. So the indications will be there. And I just think if you're doing that day-to-day game, like, you can be patient. And maybe there's just some stuff that you pass right now, and maybe you lose 10 to 20% on one of those products until you see the sentiment in the market change and the demand for those products change. And so, yeah, you might be losing 10 to 20%, but in these other products, these high-performing products, the ones that you really do think are going to be doing well, you can see, you know, 40, 50, 60, 70% gains, or, in, you know, opportunity chances like the GameStop Umbreon promo, or the Pikachu in a gray felt hat promo, or the Squirtle Pokemon Center promo. When you see things like that, your upside your upside potential is, you know, way better than 50 or 60%. It could be in hundreds of percent, especially when you think about, like, the Pikachu in a gray felt hat promo. All you had to do, to even be eligible to purchase that card, all you had to do was pick up $30 worth of Pokemon products. So assuming you value the sealed product you purchase at a whopping $0, like, that card is still today selling for like 150. So that is, you know, a 5x on your money. It's a huge return. Let's see. XPO Game says, thoughts on the Burning Shadows Charizard GX and a PSA 10 long term. I like that PSA 10 Charizard from Burning Shadows. One, because print quality sucks for Burning Shadows. But number two, like, we've seen that card take such a bad beating recently that if you wanted to, like, there could be some pretty, like, sexy entry opportunities for Burning Shadows. And what I mean by that is watching those cards, being patient, picking them up at auction, watching your different consigners, selling a lot of cards, watch their most recent eBays and say, okay, like, what is a Charizard GX selling for? This will always be like a chase. Like the Charizard GX from Burning Shadows will never be a card that like people stop knowing about, or a card that people stop caring about. Especially, when people talk about modern, you talk about like, Sun and Moon sets and stuff. That could be a huge opportunity, especially like I said, just because we've seen such strong price retraces. Like if you had some money and you're like, I would like to throw some money at a Charizard GX. The question is, what's your upside risk versus your downside risk? So let's say upside versus downside. Downside 50%. For a Charizard GX with that huge retrace we've already seen happen in that card, do you see where that card is currently today at its low? Do you see greater upside potential where that card goes up 50% in the future? Or do you see another scenario in which that card halves again? So whatever it's selling at today, it loses again. So now it's 50% less than it's selling at today. For that card in particular, I would lean more towards we see a 50% gain in that card versus we see that card be cut in half again. Because a 50% retrace in a card like that, after the huge like pullback we've seen, me personally, I think that's less likely than the 50% gain. Let's see. The Pole Father said, bad print runs going to be home run in the future. Not sure what he means by that. Son of a Merc says, it's crazy to me people are willing to spend this money on a card like the Roaring Moon, aren't informed enough to just wait a little bit and it'll be cheaper. Roaring Moon, $800. Think about that. $800 for that Roaring Moon. That booster box is a $95 booster box right now. Hey, this is just the world we live in. There's a lot of things. I've talked about this scenario. I talked about it earlier in the video. I'm not going to try to beat this horse to death. And I beat a lot of horses to death on this channel. You might as well change the channel from Poke Knowledge cards to Poke Glue Factory cards because I beat all my horses to death. But I don't know who the people are that buy these first PSA 10s. Don't know who they are. Never will, probably. Would love to have one of them on my channel because they seem to know something that we always don't know. But, time is usually not favorable to those type of people. TKK Collector says, it has to be people with more money than time. It's a luxury purchase. Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, the problem is the people that have more money than time, the irony of that is the people that usually have more money are usually like a little smarter, a little more well-informed, a little more patient, because people that have a lot of money, unless they inherited all that money or they just been extremely lucky, usually the people that have a lot of money earn their money, and they were smart enough to like put themselves in a position to become wealthy, to be financially like, in a good position. So for them to go out and buy these cards, like I always lean towards that's probably not the case. But then again, I could be wrong where people are just looking at Pokemon as just an absolute luxury and they don't care. But hey, I don't know. I guess in that sense, the rich get poor and the poor get richer, because if you got the rich people paying for these cards and the poor people grading these cards, I mean, usually it's the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. But if you got people that are rich buying these cards, well, guess what? Then the rich get poor and the poor get rich. So maybe that's why everyone likes Pokemon. Maybe that's the secret sauce. Did we just figure it out? That is it. That the rich people in this hobby keep getting poorer, but the poor people in this hobby keep getting richer? Maybe if that's the case, usually, like, I would lean towards that's probably not the case. That sometimes the poorer people in this hobby are the ones that usually get used and abused, like, more than anybody else. Shout out to Whatnot. Basic Trainer said Logan Paul punch in the air right now. Oh no. I jumped to the bottom. Let's see. Yep. All right. I'm back to where I was. Jester Beat says, my buddy just got a Mewtwo 151 promo sealed with 2 square corners and print dots. I don't think this seller noticed or something. That's cool. Anytime you get square corners on a promo is very cool. I got one on one of, I forget which cards. So Danny said, I could feel it in the air. Too many TCGs, not enough collectors and investors. Yeah. You look at products, right? I mean, like, all right. I hate to do this, but I'm just going to go walk over there. I want to show you guys. Like, I don't want to get off screen, but you're going to have to take my word for it. Right off the screen. You guys aren't going to believe me. Hold on. All right. Sorry. I knew that was dead time, and that dead time on this channel is the worst possible thing you can do. But I don't usually show anything that's not Pokemon, but because that Danny's comment says, I can feel it in the air, too many TCGs, not enough collectors and investors. I'm going to show you some products that I like to just pick up once in a while because I'm like, hey, I'll speculate on some products. You guys know what this is, right? This is just Romance Dawn, One Piece box. It's got the blue bottom. It was a first wave. I just picked it up because I was like, okay, $140. I'm going to pick up a first wave booster box. I was like, first week it was released. These booster boxes right now, because it's got a freaking blue bottom on it and it's a first wave, it's like $850 booster box. So you talk about like people with money. Then I have this. This is Alpha Sorcery. I don't know if I know Rudy was pumping Sorcery, but this is the Alpha Sorcery. So I did a Kickstarter campaign. Shout out to Josh, the old card shop. Before Sorcery was released, we were both in the Kickstarter campaign. I got that. I have like there's like a Kickstarter pack it came with. I have some of the pre-con decks for Sorcery Alpha. That box I just showed you, this right here, okay? I bought this whole box. It was like, whatever, $700, $800 for that and the pre-con decks. The most current seal for that sealed case today on eBay, $5,000. This isn't even Pokemon. Yes, so between this blue bottom One Piece, that Sorcery TCG case, those two products, $6,000. My total cost into those is less than $1,000. Both those products I got within the last year. Think about it. So that means I spent not even, and this isn't even Pokemon investing. This was just, hey, this looks like it will be interesting. Why don't I just say, fuck it. For shits and giggles, let's just pick up some of this and just randomly. That's $6,000, $5,000 in profit on things that were just supposed to be like, oh, this would be cool to put in my personal collection. I'm getting to the point now where I'm like looking at the prices of this stuff and I'm going, this is not worth it to hold anymore. What the heck is going on? This is supposed to just be me checking a box. It's just like One Piece. I have every One Piece booster box except for the most recent set. And it's just like, oh, when they come out, check a box. I check a lot of boxes. Listen, my eBays, I buy a lot of shit every day. I check a lot of boxes. That's why probably a hoarder. Got way too much stuff. But check a lot of boxes. Check boxes. And it's like, just like Danny says, I can feel it in the air. Too many TCGs, not enough collectors and investors. It's like, but what about this stuff? What's going on? So if you could have One Piece doing that for, the first run of those booster boxes, for these Sorcery Kickstarter boxes, you could have crazy prices. You have all this demand. It's like, how much money exists out there? In the ether that is trading cards, how much money exists? Is it an unlimited supply? Is it $1 bazillion? Is it $1 quadrillion? Like, how much money is it? It just seems to be never ending. So, I don't know. The way Danny says, I can feel it in the air. Too many TCGs, not enough collectors and investors. It's like, when does it stop, So, Jason M says, is anyone holding sealed modern because they like the sets and want to open it themselves in the future? I believe 90% of people are holding for profit. Too much sealed, nobody will profit. Now, I don't know. When you say 90%, like, what's the statistic? 69% of all facts are made up, including that one. So, Yeah, I don't know if it's 90% of all people. I think there's a lot of people who are just holding one booster box. So, like the people that are just holding one booster box of every set, I don't think of them. I mean, I always said this in the long run. Like collectors become investors by default, meaning whether their plan was to be an investor or not, given enough time, everybody like becomes an investor because you see what your sealed product collection's worth and what your products and your items are worth. So, but as for those people holding their one booster box, they're probably not going to be selling, the same way as, I don't know, with same way with that One Piece booster box where that was just supposed to be a place filler so I could have one of every One Piece set just because I like to collect a lot of random shit. Like, I'm probably not going to sell that. That's the only booster box I own. I don't have a case of it and stuff. As for the sorcery stuff, I don't know. But a lot of like the people with one booster box of Pokemon, I don't see them selling. Now, the people carrying big positions, big supplies, eventually those people will sell. And the problem is and this is the most dangerous part. In the future, demand for sealed product becomes less and less. Meaning, what I mean by that is just you look at your TCG Player, your eBay. What I mentioned earlier today in this video, you look at the sales for that week. There could only be like, less than 30 sales of a booster box on TCG Player for the whole month. So a perfect example would be Rebel Clash. I haven't looked at Rebel Clash booster box sales like in the last month, but if I had to take a guess, I would say within the last 30 days, the amount of sales of Rebel Clash booster boxes are probably less than 30. Again, I don't know that number. Not a hill I'm willing to die on, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say in the last 30 days, there's been less than 30 Rebel Clash booster boxes sold. Now, you can make the argument that Rebel Clash is a rarer set. It's not going to be as abundant as some of this later Sword and Shield stuff, but now let's look at the later Sword and Shield stuff. If I just told you that a couple years after Rebel Clash was released, that less than 30 per month were selling, well, what happens to a set like a super modern set, like a Brilliant Stars or a Lost Origin or an Astral Radiance or a Silver Tempest, or going into like the real distant future, a Scarlet and Violet base, Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames, Paradox Rift. In the long term, like 3, 4, 5 years into the future, well, if there's only less than 30 sales per month and you have people sitting on 3 cases, which 3 cases to some people out there watching this video, they're going to be like, 3 cases, that's 18 booster boxes. That is a lot of money. That is a lot to just sealed product. But then there's other people out there going to be watching this and be like, yeah, 3 cases is nothing. I'm sitting on 10, 20, 30. I got a pallet of this shit, I would say the people with a pallet of it is way less, but, there's definitely people sitting on a lot of this product. So in the future, in 5 years from now, if you only get in 30 Scarlet and Violet base boxes selling on TCG Player a month, very similar to the same sell-through rate as a set like Rebel Clash, well, what happens when you have 20x the amount of sellers of Scarlet and Violet base in 5 years from now versus, the amount of sellers for a product like Rebel Clash? That's where you get into like the question marks. And I don't have a perfect answer for stuff like that. That is going to be one of those things. Time is going to have to like dictate that. Now, you look at a set like really poor performing sets. You look at a set like Crimson Invasion or Steam Siege, and you look at like what was able to like bring up those prices. One, all product around it was eaten up. But even in comparison, like, Steam Siege booster box or Crimson Invasion booster boxes, the same way as I told you on an earlier video, I still think scarcity outweighs demand. And while Crimson Invasion might not seem like a scarce booster box and a Steam Siege might not seem like a scarce booster box, in reality, when you put it up 1-to-1 against any of these super modern sets, they are way, way more scarce. So it's just that sheer scarcity factor is able to keep these products up. Now, in the future, will the scarcity be there for some of these late Sword and Shield sets, early Scarlet and Violet sets? I just don't know if the scarcity factor will be there, because I think the scarcity factor does outweigh that demand factor so strongly. And again, I told you we're going to change this channel name to the Glue Factory, but when you look at the most expensive Sword and Shield ETB, it's Rebel Clash. And the reason this Rebel Clash ETB is the most expensive ETB is not because it's the most, exciting, most famous, most sought after set? No, it's because the scarcity that exists in those ETBs. That's it. Scarcity outweighs popularity. All right. So punch jump kick says people are losing money to rip and shippers weighing packs. Oh yeah, I mean, people have been losing money to rip and shippers since the pandemic started. Like Whatnot was a scary example of that. Blake's Break making millions of dollars, scary example of that. Hopefully that doesn't stick around forever, but we're now seeing like TikTok, how much money TikTok is just piling into Pokemon right now. You know, they're operating TikTok, well, at least when it, I mean, not TikTok as a company, but like TikTok as the trading card. Like their customer acquisition costs right now, meaning how much money they're spending to get customers to hopefully in the future translate over to become buyers on the TikTok platform right now. Their customer acquisition costs must be crazy. They're dumping a ton of money. And, you know, they're also bringing on like smart people. Shout out to Pokemon Radar John. John's a great guy. I like John a lot. Super smart dude. I think he's going to bring a lot of value to TikTok. But like the fact that TikTok reached out, you know, poached John from where he was, like, you know, they're bringing on smart people. They're bringing on people that understand the space, understand trading cards. Like, he's going to be a valuable asset to that team. So TikTok looks like they're positioning themselves right now to really like capitalize on this market. Now, what does this mean for a site like Whatnot? You know, when you look at what does TikTok have going for it, like from an overall like positivity attitude towards the platform. Right now everybody's talking about TikTok in a positive. Like very rare do I see like the negative TikTok, you know, videos or people talking poorly on like TikTok. Again, I'm not super into that world, but from the outside looking in, it seems like people are relatively positive. But I think that's just because TikTok's giving people money. But the hardest part is just getting somebody on the platform for the first time, and then eventually those people will start buying stuff. Now, what is the attitude? What is the sentiment towards Whatnot? Whatnot doesn't have great attitude right now, doesn't have great sentiment. So you have a lot of people who are probably going to be moving off the Whatnot platform because it's just so full of scammers, but they still have that niche. Sadly, a lot of the Whatnot openers, they love that gamble. So if they can't get their fix on Whatnot, maybe they're going to go look at eBay Live. If they can't get their fix on eBay Live, where's the next place they're going to look? TikTok. Now, hopefully TikTok is able to like figure out how to moderate that, not let, you know, TikTok just turn into a Whatnot cesspool where you get a lot of people scamming and stuff. Like if they can, you know, hammer it down and keep that from happening, you can see TikTok becoming like a live streaming platform and stuff. And the crazy thing is the average TikTok viewer loves that short form, like in your face content, like videos like this where we're 57 minutes into, you know, an hour plus long PK rant. Like they're not into this type of content, but that quick dopamine rush they're into. And in Pokemon, what is the absolute quickest dopamine rush you can get? That pack opening experience. So it works very well together. It's a very much a yin and a yang. Pokemon opening, TikTok content. Let's see. Jester Beat says, sell me some binder collection, PK, please. No, you don't want any of my binder collections. They've all been picked over. Tom B said, my Value Plus took like 10 days. Yeah, as of last week. That's good, Tom. So yeah, that kind of reinforces what I said earlier, that Value Plus is around 10 days. Now, you know, 10 days could be hit or miss. It could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks, but yeah, I'm hoping to get my turnaround pretty quick on those because I sent a lot of my English, not a lot. I shouldn't say a lot. I sent, so I'll tell you guys the exact numbers. Let me pull up my PSA submission. So for my Pokemon Classic collection, I sent multiple shipments, but I sent 13 total at Value Plus, one order of 6, one order of 7, and then 23 cards at bulk, which means they probably weren't going to be worth it to send at Value Plus. Had real outside shots at 10s. More likely than not, we're going to be 9. So in total, I sent 36 cards away to be graded from my 2 Pokemon Classic collections. Now, like the Value Pluses, each one of them had its own Charizard. Each one had the Venusaur Blastoise. So, I mean, it's tough. Wasn't pretty. Uh, let's see. Yeah, people are saying congrats on the 1,000,000 views. Yeah, I appreciate that, guys. It's if it wasn't for you guys, that would not be possible. Even, for the fans of this channel, I appreciate you guys. For those that are the haters of this channel, hey, appreciate you haters out there. Even though you might hate me, listen. The fact of the matter is, and the truth of the matter is, hate watchers, you guys stick around. You watch the whole video. So I appreciate that. The retention time from the hate watchers is way more than the retention times from the people that like the video. So it's kind of funny how the world works sometimes. Let's see. I jumped down, but Relk says Silver Tempest you can get as low as $90 a box from some local card stores. They sell up to $150 per PSA 10 pack. Do you research it and pay for it? He's talking about graded packs. Fresh Tat says PK answers a question, turns into a mini rant. Yes, that's what I do. Fresh Tat says the rich just get Charizard. Danny Lowe said, did you end up joining the Tiffany lottery? I did not join the Tiffany lottery because I'm pretty sure it wasn't open till 11/29, right? Unless I missed that. And if that's the case, then I'm okay with skipping out. Maybe it's a really good thing if I missed it. But I do plan to enter the Tiffany lottery, but I thought it was the 29th of this month. But hey, if I'm wrong, I won't lose any sleep over that, don't worry. I think people are saying sell that shit right now. I don't know if they're talking about the One Piece booster box or the Sorcery Alpha. Jason M says, until you sell it, you haven't realized any gains at all. Yes, that is true. Fresh Tat says, you got Lorcana in the closet. No. Max Wolf said, One Piece is popping off right now. Lots of players too. Yeah. Honestly, One Piece, I never would have been into One Piece if it wasn't for, shout out to, again, Pokemon Radar and Squeaks when they still were doing their, their second round of their podcast series. I know they're not doing it anymore, but it was like in one of their blips or blaps, or I forget what it was called, like one of their hot takes, Squeaks talked about One Piece, and he was talking about how he was, like, super bullish on One Piece. He was talking about the show, talking about the card, talking about the card game being released, and because Squeaks was super into it, I was watching that podcast. So I was like, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on One Piece, and when it gets released, I'm going to pick up like one of every booster box because Squeaks seems to like really believe in it. And it was because of that Pokemon Radar and Squeaks podcast that I even learned about One Piece. And then once it was released, like the first couple days, I picked up my booster box. So, but yeah, shout out to Squeaks. Thanks, Squeaks, for helping me get my foot in that door real quick. So Relk says current One Piece sets are money printers if you know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing in One Piece. Don't pretend like I know. I got one booster box of every set. Namp90 said One Piece made me break his rule of not buying other TCGs. LOL. Yeah. I don't have that rule. I buy a lot of other like TCGs. In fact, I actually like dead TCGs. Dead TCGs, that's like my... I don't know what to say. Dead TCGs is my crux. Meaning, I have to get one of everyone. Now, the thing about dead TCGs, like, I'm not in a rush to buy any of those things. Like, take my sweet-ass time. When they come up, I'll pick them up. Sometimes dead TCGs is just as much as, oh, okay, this exists. Like, I'll give you an example, like Wilderness booster boxes. $25 a booster box. Well, now that... sorry, Basic Trainer, if you're still out there. Now that MetaZoo is a dead TCG, $25 a booster box looks pretty attractive. So maybe it'll be time to pick up some Wilderness booster boxes at $25. Which I think that's like less than their distribution price, and which is crazy. I don't know if Basic's out there, if he's right now. The Pole Father says, I feel old knowing people called it Rebel Trash. Yeah. So Jason M said, scarcity creates value, and there's no scarcity in modern worries me. The amount of people I talk to who are putting 2 ETBs and 2 booster boxes away each set thinking it will help them retire early, and then he's put like sad face. Yeah, I think there's the problem is with some of this modern stuff is you just look at the track record, and it's you can't really like argue with the fact that sale product given enough time all seems to go up. And right now there's nothing to really like show that trend bucking. Now, again, we're living in the time of overproduced stuff, so but we're also living in a time of Pokemon with unprecedented demand still. I mean, the amount of people that are in this hobby in comparison to any other time period in this hobby may be removed from that early 2021 hype, but looking at how many people are in Pokemon today and you compare that to 2018, 2016, 2014, 2010, 2007, 2003. Like the next time you could even get close to comparing it is you got to go all the way back to like 99, 2000 to get close to this sort of like demand. So when you're comparing 2023 and your best comparable is literally the booms of booms of one of the greatest times of Pokemon, which is 99 2000 timeline, like you're doing pretty good. So, those people that are putting 2 ETBs in their closet and 2 booster boxes, to be honest with you, they've probably been doing pretty well. When you think about just starting late Sun and Moon, so they put 2 Team Up in their closet, 2 Unbroken Bonds, 2 Unified Minds, 2 Cosmic Eclipse, just 2 ETBs and 2 booster boxes of each one of those sets, they're doing great. And then if you're doing 2 booster boxes of every single Sword and Shield set, like Sword and Shield Base, Rebel, Clash, Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, Battle Styles, Chill and Rain, Evolving Skies, like all those early Sword and Shield sets, like did fantastic if you just put 2 of those in your closet, because the ones that perform really well, like your Sword and Shield Base, Rebel Clash, and then skipping all the way to Evolving Skies, like those couple booster boxes help really like bring up all the ones that you might have like not performed as good at. But assuming you had decent price points, the problem is some of those were like really crazy prices at release, so you'd have to time all-time lows. A lot of semantics get into that conversation. Let's see. Cheval says you can be a viewer and a hater too. Yeah, shout out to all the haters out there. So Mike said same. His value plus was super fast, 8 days or so. 8 days, that's great. Yeah. Shinotic said TikTok sellers getting smart, increasing the prices so you spend the same amount with the coupons. Oh, see that's interesting. I would think that the TikTok. I guess that's just the TikTok sellers in a way being greedy. Then because wouldn't you just want to shop around and find the TikToks? I got to figure out TikTok. I haven't really done it yet, so I don't know much about it. Fresh Tat says hate watchers make PK smile. Yes. Punch Jump Kick says were your 2 classic collections sub PSA 10s? Probably. I mean, we're gonna find out. Like, I'm a harsh grader, so I wouldn't send these normally, but because trying to be relatively first to market, Blastoise, Venusaur, Charizard, even hit in the 9s, I think that the price difference, because I was going to grade those either way. I'm not going to sell them raw. That was never the plan. I was never going to sell my Charizards raw from the classic collections. Never. So it was always grade them. Now, to send them at value, to send them at bulk is going to cost me $15. To send them at value plus is $40. So the price difference between just bulk and value plus $25. So the way I looked at it is, even if these hit a 9, they were getting graded either way. So to send them earlier, to get them back earlier, that $25 extra that I'm going to pay, will I still make more than that $25 by trying to be maybe not first to market, but one of the first to market? And I just looked at like my risks and I said, yeah, I think it will be worth it there. And even if it's not, maybe it will still be like more or less a break even. I just don't see spending an extra $25 to get a, classic collection Charizard in the 9 is going to be a make or break. That's why I only sent a total of 13 at value plus. So 2 of them being Charizards, 2 of them Venusaurs, 2 of them being Blastoids. The rest being like Articunos and then some of the Mr. Mimes and stuff. So Rec Rouse says, question, what would you rank the Neo sets from worst to best and why? So you got Neo Genesis, uh, Neo Discovery, Neo Rev, Neo Destiny. So Neo Destiny is going to be number one because it's got the most shine-ins. Neo Rev's going to be number two because it still has a Gyarados shiny, still has a Magikarp shiny. Um, Gyarados number 65 in the set, Magikarp's number 66 in the set. Super small set, super strong. Neo Discovery, sadly, like Neo Discovery has a lot of like cool cards in it, but Neo Gen is gonna beat out that because it's got like all your Gen 2 heavy hitters, the Lugia, bang, T17, bang. So, but then Neo Discovery is gonna be last, even though Neo Discovery like has some pretty cool cards to it. Still has the Espeon on it, has the T-Tar in it, like the Scyther artwork is still like pretty awesome artwork. So Neo Discovery, like, it just doesn't have that big hit. Like it has overall, like Neo Discovery is still a solid set. Like I love every single holo in that set, but it just doesn't do it. Like, and then there's some stinkers like Neo Discovery, you get like unknowns. You hit an unknown holo, that's gonna be rough. You hit the Steelix holo, like that's gonna be rough. There's a couple of those Neo Discovery ones that are just like you hit them, it's not fun. Now I would say that some people might put like Neo Gen, as number one just because they're like, okay, first edition Neo Gen Lugia T17, but like when it comes to actual like ranking the sense, Neo Destiny is always gonna. Oh wait, is Neo Destiny is always gonna be number one because it has the best card in all of Neo Genesis, which is the Shining Raichu. The Shining Raichu is the best Shining card that has ever been created in Pokemon. It's not really up for discussion. Uh, Last time I checked, it was like 1 million people did a poll. All 1 million people said the Raichu Shiny was the best Shiny ever created. Therefore, makes Neo Destiny the best set. So, yes, to answer your question, Wreck-It Roush, that's how I would rank Neo sets. So again, Neo Destiny, Neo Rev, Neo Gen base, and then Neo Discovery would be last. So Cheval says, Neo Discovery number one, first Moonbreon, yes. So, yeah, I should have mentioned that it does have the first Moonbreon. Let's see. Namp90 says, I have watched like 600 episodes of One Piece this year, so some arts hit more in the feels because I experienced the story recently, yeah. So the cool thing about the Neo Discovery with the Moonbreon 2 is you could still get it in first edition or unlimited. Like there was a lot of times because I want to say Dan Catch 'em All Collectibles, but there was a time where the Neo Discovery Moonbreon was selling for the same price as the Evolving Skies Moonbreon in a PSA 10. I want to say it was like when they hit $1,200. You can get an unlimited Neo Discovery Moonbreon in a PSA 10 for like 1,200, or you can get that same Moonbreon, or not the same Moonbreon, or you could get the Moonbreon from Evolving Skies, and for a while they were hitting like 1,200. So they are comparable one for one. And then the question was, well, which one would you rather have? Me all day, I would rather have the Neo Discovery, but that's where all the people say, oh, that's because PK only likes, vintage. He doesn't like modern, but like I do like that modern Moonbreon, but I just didn't see like the strength of the market to keep that Moonbreon at $1,200. And we've already seen that Moonbreon from Evolving Skies retrace pretty drastically. I would say right now you could probably pick those up between $700 to $800, where that Umbreon, you're not going to be able to pick it up for much less than $1,200. You're probably, in fact, going to have to pay greater than $1,200. So if you look at those two cards at the same time, selling for the same price, the Neo Discovery Moonbreon has held up way stronger than the Evolving Skies Moonbreon. Yep, so you got Pokesnipes, said shout out to Drew. So Drew did put a good comment in the chat. Drew said, like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell notification. Yeah, especially the bell notification is something I never talk about, but a lot of the videos I do are lives. I mean, I shouldn't say a lot. Like 90+% of all the videos I do are live. So if you do want to interact, we usually have, between 80 and 100 people in the chat. So if you want to start interacting, put on that bell notification. So when I do go live, you can catch me real time. But I know there's some people out there just likes to watch the replays and do it on the 2x speed, which I don't blame you. I don't know how you guys could sit through, listen to my voice for an hour and 14 minutes. Travis says, above Shining Gyarados, question mark? Yes. Shining Raichu above Shining Gyarados. Above Shining Magikarp. You can take that Shining Magikarp, put it in the Shining Gyarados artwork, have both of them, and the Shining Raichu is still the best Shining card. I don't think it's up for debate. I'm pretty sure that is a fact said by everyone. That just the same way Cool Trainer Ryan says Fusion Strike is the best set ever created, you know, agreed upon by all Pokemon collectors. Shining Raichu, best Shining card, agreed upon by all Pokemon collectors. It just is what it is. All right. As always, guys, I made it to the bottom of the chat. Namp90 said Neo Destiny is 100% number one. Yeah. As always, guys, appreciate every single one of you. Again, super big thank you, guys, for all you guys that tune into all these videos for all these hours. I mean, it's crazy to look back, you know. Back to the title of this video, where a day feels like a year and a year feels like a day. When you look back on this and you're like, man, how much time did I spend, like, making videos? And you know what? I wouldn't take anything back. Like, every second of every day that I, you know, spent making videos, doing this, like, this is truly like a thing of passion, a thing of love. And with the exception of my family, there's not many things in my entire life that I'm more passionate about, I care about more than Pokemon. So to be able to have this outlet for you guys to be, like, gracious enough, because really it is you, it's not me. You guys are the ones gracious enough to, like, allow me to have this outlet to talk about Pokemon, to talk about the thing that I enjoy and I care about and I love. So if it wasn't for you guys, none of this is possible. So I don't want you to ever lose sight of that. Like, you guys are as important on the journey of this channel as anything else. But, as always, guys, appreciate every single one of you. Again, if you do want to be on this journey with me, do me one favor. Hit that like button. And if you still to this day have made it to the end of this video and you're not subscribed, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. But as always, guys, I appreciate every single one of you. And I'll catch you on the next video.